by an African head of state, the best ever. And I don't say this lightly, Mr. President. As ABSA, obviously, we are looking to expand our horizons into the continent outside of South Africa. Kenya is proving for us to be a very important part of that expansion into the rest of the continent. Certainly, we've been watching the events unfold in Kenya, and we remain committed, and our commitment is unwavering because we see Kenya as one of the anchors of our strategy outside of South Africa. But I'm tempted to ask the question, Mr. President, around maybe for you just to give us a flavor of the financial reforms, because obviously as a systemically important institution, that's one of the things that we're looking at. Encouraged by the speech today, has confirmed to me that my son is making the right call and that we at ABSA are making the right call, but we just need to understand progress that's been made with regards to the financial reforms in the country.
You're so correct on the space around financial reforms. You just heard me mention about what we are doing around having a predictable tax regime that makes it easy for business to plan at least long term in terms of what is the fiscal space, what are the taxes in place, and we have been continuously reviewing that space. As I told you, we take a lot of feedback. We had a meeting with the American Chamber of Commerce. We've had meetings with different groups. Later this in December, we're going to have another European with EU, a conversation around what they think about our tax regime so that we can align it with best practice. Let me give you an example. Digital tax has really given us something, but finally we decided to align our digital tax with OECD standards. That way we don't offend anybody and we keep the standard above board. We had challenges with VAT returns. I made the decision that once VAT returns are certified, if you are not paid by our revenue authorities within 6 months, you can then net off those returns on your other tax obligations. That way, I make compliance both ways, so that either they pay you on time or they lose their tax because you have to recover from what they are doing. So we are continuously improving that tax space to make sure that we are aligned. Let me also say that the reason why we are expanding space around special economic zones, around export processing zones, is because we want to have a predictable regime in that space that has clear tax incentives that you can think about 10 years, you can plan 20 years as you invest in that space. ABSA has been a great partner of the Republic of Kenya with a very big footprint. I'm happy that you are thinking about that space one more time. And if there is anything that we can do specifically for ABSA, please let us know. We will be at hand to deal with it. I have my Chief of Staff here, Eden, who is for your information. He's a former employee of ABSA. So he knows his way around.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you, Mr. Moloko, particularly for that personal vignette. Let's turn now to Mr. Charles Murito. His Excellency referenced the 30% request of shares from Google previously. Mr. Murito is Director of Sub-Saharan Africa for Google. Do you have a question for the President?
I answered all his questions.
That you did. So, Your Excellency, I think what I may ask is perhaps make a quick comment, especially as Kenya is working towards its economic prosperity journey. It's imperative for us to really harness the power of AI, which I was happy that no one mentioned it before, so that at least I get the opportunity to be the first to talk about it here. But as we think about that, AI is definitely going to have great impact, not just in terms of the technology itself, but thinking about some of the things that you mentioned around agriculture, around health, education as well. And it's something that really we think about as what we call a general purpose technology, which is really the foundation of everything else to be built upon. So it's not about technology itself, but really what it can do to accelerate the economic growth. And as we know, we in Africa definitely need that. So, Your Excellency, as you know, we did sign our joint statement of collaboration earlier this year in DC, and there's been quite a lot of progress in that around the national AI policy, and I commend your government for working closely on that. So my question to you, and really my offer, is that we as Google are working closely with other technology companies as well as other private sector companies are really on standby to offer any support that you and your administration want. And so please reach out to us if we need to help, especially around AI and all the implications that it can have to accelerate the economic growth for Kenya and all the other countries across the continent. Thank you so much, Your Honor. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Charles. And I agree with you that your support in that space around AI has been immense. We're actually playing catch up, because I was very pleasantly surprised. I went to one of our technical training colleges and I found a young man there, I think his name was Brian. And Brian told me that he is working for an AI company in Germany. And this is a college that is in remote Kenya, 400 kilometers from Nairobi. That Brian doesn't have a passport. He has never been to the capital city of Nairobi, but he works for an AI company in Germany. That is, the kind of space where we are. Meanwhile, as government, we are yet to figure out how to deal with AI. We've just finished the policy, and I'm happy to report here that Parliament is now seized with the necessary legislation and guidelines that will support our AI journey. But already we are leveraging on AI to do two very important things. One, we are leveraging on AI to do our means testing instrument for how we are distributing education money to beneficiaries, so that we can use AI to get the algorithms that will give us what is the financial status of which parent. We are using the same to desegregate how we distribute our fertilizer to farmers. And we are now using it for the beneficiaries of our universal health coverage program. There are people who government has to pay for because they cannot afford. Again, AI is helping us in that space. But finally, maybe something that I would ask Charles here is the challenge we have with the negative effects of AI. We have a lot of generative stuff, fake news, misinformation, disinformation. Some of it that hardly people know can know what is true from what is not true. And it is quite a menace. So again, that's the space that we need to work together. And finally, to think about cybersecurity. We still have very serious challenges around cybersecurity. Sometimes I have to call Peter to figure out when government services are attacked, and he's been immensely useful with the Safaricom and other players. So again, I think there is scope for us to collaborate with Google and others so that we can better secure that place. And even the conversation we are having in the Summit of the Future, is about artificial intelligence, the misuse and the misuse. You know, there are those who are missing the opportunity to use it, and there are those, of course, who are in the space I've talked about. So again, that is space we can all think about.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you, Charles, for that question. I'm going to turn this now to Mr. Yunus Tanner, Senior Director, Government Relations and Public Policy at Procter & Gamble. And Yunus, I'm wondering if Charles referenced that AI had not been spoken about before, so it's something new. If you have a new question for the President, not to put you on the spot.
Definitely, I'm put on the spot. Thank you so much.
So welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a pleasure to be here. I really was glad to hear about the potential and expansion of the U.S.-Kenya trade agreement, and of course the tax reforms we're talking about internally are massive and very well appreciated. One other further area that can improve the further ecosystem for us as Procter & Gamble is the expansion of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement deployment across the continent. It's a great opportunity across the board for inter-Africa trade. And associated with that is the harmonization of the Kenyan product standards in terms of being compatible with the globe. So whenever they are compatible, it opens the doors for Kenyan products, meat products, to be exported to the rest of Africa and the rest of the world at ease. So just a comment, no questions there, just an appreciation of the development that's happening in Kenya, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Yunus. So we'll turn now to Ms. Tara Nathan. Tara, where are you? Okay, wonderful. Executive Vice President for Humanitarian and Development and EVP and founder of Community Pass and MasterCard. Tara, do you have any question for His Excellency?
Yes. Hello, Mr. President. I think we had the honor to meet when you were here in May to talk about Community Pass at MasterCard, which is also, I'll be the second to mention AI, but it's for digital technology. But for us, one of the things that we're doing via digital technology is making sure on how that's applied to rural, remote communities and making sure that no one's left behind in this digital revolution that we're talking about. Community Pass focuses on rural smallholder farmers. So I would love to hear a little bit more about the agricultural sector, as we had a chance to talk about. For us, when we think about digital technology at MasterCard and through Community Pass, it's really about figuring out how can digital technology not only provide identities, but provide access to markets so that farmers can get competitive bids, how they can get access to authentic and pure inputs, so that they know that the seeds that they're planting are real, that they get access to credit. The main thing that we're really focused on is taking that ecosystem approach, which I think we talked about. So one of the things that we're very proud of is we talked to you, Mr. President, about the MADE Alliance, the Mobilizing Access to the Digital Economy, which in Africa, which we announced at the call to action from Vice President Harris in May. We're proud to announce that now we're launching it in Kenya. And in fact, Community Pass, I should say, was actually innovated and developed in Kenya, and we exported it across the world. It's now live in 7 different markets across the globe. But very interested sort of hear more about your thoughts around digitization, specifically in the agriculture space or in the space of the smallholder farmer, and sort of reaching those folks that are rural, that are more marginalized. That constitute over 7 million or close to 7 million inhabitants across Kenya. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A year and a half ago, we decided that we are going to distribute our fertilizer on a digital platform using e-voucher. We registered 5 million farmers, and every farmer today in Kenya has a voucher that gives them a government subsidy, and therefore they pay less what the government has subsidized on fertilizer. It is amazing. And in fact, I went to one of the depots to see. There is no cash. Everybody has come with their phone, with their voucher, and they are paying using a digital platform. It has done three things for our Kenyan farmers. It has increased efficiency, it has increased transparency, and today we have a record as government as to how much money we are going to pay, because we can easily reconcile the vouchers that have been given out by our depots from what the farmers have bought. And number three, it has also given us accuracy that farmers are buying seeds and fertilizer that is certified by our KEFIS, the certifying agency in Kenya. So Peter here will tell you they worked with us on developing, again, the voucher framework with them, and many banks are part of that ecosystem. And I'm sure my good brother here from NCBA can confirm that the banking industry are now part of that ecosystem of working with us on that digital platform to be able to distribute fertilizer. One last thing is it's very interesting today on the predictability of weather. I mean, the simple gadgets that today are being used by farmers to know when to plant. They can predict up to a month of what's going to happen. And I find, even in my farm, that my farm manager can tell me we should plant on Tuesday next week because there will be rain on Thursday and Friday. And that really is phenomenal. This is something that has never been the case. So there is much more accuracy, especially in the context of climate change, on when farmers can plant, on when they can do the next step. And therefore, I would look forward to the rollout of the technology you have talked to me about, and hopefully we can build it into the ecosystem that exists at the moment.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Last question we have from John Kachora of Kenyan Private Sector Alliance. We heard earlier from Jazz for KEPSA. John, where are you?
I am here.
I couldn't find you in the audience. That would be why.
Maybe what I'll do is make a couple of comments. When the President was speaking, there were a couple of questions regarding accessibility to finance from Adama and, of course, from the chairman, the former chairman, from ABSA. I'm also from ABSA, by the way, Your Excellency, on financial reforms. I thought I would really mention two things. One is that Kenya has one of the highest financial inclusion rates in Africa, at 86% as of last year. It's one of the highest in Africa. Beyond that, I think, is the question of what the government has done. I think one thing that perhaps is not talked out a lot, Your Excellency, is the effect of the Hustler Fund as far as financial inclusion is concerned. Quite often we measure financial inclusion in terms of transactions, and of course M-Pesa has done a very good job of bringing people into that. But I think really financial inclusion must have the other two components, which is savings as well as borrowings. And I think what Hustler Fund has done is bring the rest of the population that was doing transactions at M-Pesa but not being able to borrow and to save into that saving culture. So today I would say that number, I'm waiting for the next survey. I would say, Your Excellency, I'll be surprised if you're not over 90% in terms of financial inclusion. So really good job on that. I think the other comment that perhaps I would make is that obviously there was the news about Kenya getting grey listed as far as the world is concerned. And I think what is, again, I would like to talk about is the reforms that the government has put in place to make sure that Kenya is on the global standard as far as AML and financing of crime is concerned. Parliament enacted a very strict law that really put us on a very global scale. If you look at our laws today, probably the best in the world as far as this AML issue is concerned. So really, those are the two reforms I want to talk about as being key things that the government has done. I think beyond that, the President has talked about the digitalization of government services. I would say today, Kenya is a country where you can pay for everything to do with government on the digital line. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are, you can get on it and make payments. And I think that really has helped. One, in terms of education. Two, in terms of the use of AI, as the president has talked about. And the last one I would say, Your Excellency, is that I'm also a small-scale farmer. I have my voucher for fertilizers, so I want to say I'm living evidence. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, John, I also have mine.
Thank you, John. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to thank President Ruto. Really, for such an engaging dialogue. I think a couple takeaways. One is all roads lead from ABSA, apparently, to Kenya. But really, just exciting to hear of the significant incentives that are being put in place in Kenya to support business. It's an exciting time to invest. I'd like to invite Peter Ndegwa, CEO of Safaricom, to come and give some brief closing remarks. And then we'll have a vote of thanks and bring our program to a close. Thank you, Peter.
Good morning, everyone. Let me try what John asked. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, I was waiting for His Excellency to sit. I don't start speaking before Your Excellency sits here. I might be in trouble. You know, I should say that Safaricom, which I work for, is one of the most successful privatization, where the government still holds 35%. So it's a very good private sector, a public-private partnership. And the reason I'm saying that is I have to behave because His Excellency is my shareholder. Yeah. So anyway, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samuel Ruto, all protocols observed. Distinguished guests, good morning. I'm going to make a few comments, both as a key private sector player in the market of Kenya and also in the region. We've just gone into Ethiopia. A successful business in East Africa, the Safaricom PLC, you'll have heard the President mention a few times, is the largest telecommunication business. We serve about 36 million customers in Kenya, almost basically the whole population. And also the pioneer of M-Pesa, which is the most successful mobile payment platform in the region, and actually I should say globally has set the standards, transacts about $1 billion every day, and actually the international money transfer, which is all the money the diaspora send to the country, is now just about $4.5 billion, of which about half comes from the US. So when the President, who is our Chief Marketing Officer, actually speaks about Kenya being a digital hub, it is actually true, and we have demonstrable local companies that are leading the way in the region. And we've just now gone into Ethiopia, where we are investing about $2.5 billion to start a new operation and also see another success with mobile money. So delighted to be here. It's been quite an engaging forum this morning. Thank you, Excellency, for marketing our country, and also all the other speakers who have spoken about and showcased Kenya. The private sector continues to actively contribute to the economy through job creation, technology and infrastructure investment, and community programs. And as we see at Safaricom, it's about not just technology, but using technology to provide solutions that solve societal problems, whether that is in healthcare, you'll have heard, in agriculture with the vouchering program, driving digital inclusion and also financial inclusion across the country. The private sector plays a vital role in accelerating the SDGs, and we are all here this week to talk about the SDGs, which we know are behind, and private sector plays a crucial role in this area, and SDGs are crucial for development. We will be participating in several stakeholder forums this week, where we will look at how best to approach key SDGs targets and follow up with commitments towards achieving them. As Kenya business leaders, we are privileged to have the support of our government, the leadership of His Excellency William Ruto. When I listen to the President always speaking, we say no more. He is our Chief Marketing Officer who has enabled efforts to drive innovation and economic outcomes through a digital superhighway, which you'll have heard him speak about. The digital superhighway has created opportunities in streamlining government services, which has improved outputs and digitization of records. This has been facilitated by private sector investment in technology, some of which were mentioned today, and we are very happy to be involved. And this is broad partnerships between banks, technology companies, private sector players across the board. Our role as private sector has been to support digital transformation by investing in infrastructure, in financial support, and you'll have heard John speaking, and also in training. So I urge everyone in the room and potential investors in particular from the US to take this opportunity to invest in Kenya and to take cognizance of the digital revolution that is happening. As members of KEPSA, we are ready to support any engagement with the public sector and deepen private sector involvement in steering the economy forward. And very happy to be here, and thank you for your participation. Thank you very much this morning.
Thank you so much. I am here to give the vote of thanks, but let me also say that I spoke over the weekend with Carol Kariuki, who said she was so sorry she couldn't be here, and as a longtime partner with her, CCA and KEPSA, I just wanted to acknowledge that and acknowledge her work at KEPSA as well. So thank you so much, Your Excellency, for being here, for being a visionary leader, not just of Kenya, but of Africa. And please know that Corporate Council on Africa that focuses solely and exclusively on building trade, investment, and business with Africa is always here to support Kenya and your vision.
Hold it there. Thank you very much. I know this is out of protocol, but I just thought of saying just one thing. Peter has spoken very eloquently about what we're doing, and that the government of Kenya is a shareholder in his, and when he mentioned shareholder, I thought about dividends. And he has said that I'm the chief marketing manager. You know, I have to really work hard because Kenyans set very high standards for me. I really have no choice. And good is not good enough. They only believe in excellent. So that's why sometimes, you know, when I'm doing something good, they still push me. Sometimes with a little demonstration here that you're not doing as much as we told you to do. But it just speaks to what we have to do. And as we do that in Kenya, and I have spoken to you broadly about the expanded Pan-African space. And I just thought that in our midst, we have our former Prime Minister, the Honorable Raila Odinga, who is gunning for the chair of the Africa Union Commission, because as a country, I lead the charge on reform of the AU, and there cannot be any better reform than having the correct leadership to drive the African agenda. And so I just thought of introducing Raila Odinga, our former Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you, Flory. With that, we bring our conversation to a close. What a treat to have had these remarks from the President of Kenya, as well as this engaging dialogue with the business leaders, both within the U.S. and in Kenya. Thank you all so much. I'd ask if you could stand as the President and his dignitaries leave the room. Thank you so much.
I've been working hard for this moment. Just being back playing, I'm very grateful. The first day I came in, they made me feel welcome, and I'm just thankful for them for making me feel this comfortable.
Well, it was a great save of Andre, and what actually changed the game, I think. We made another big step. That's the most important thing, that we keep growing and keep improving.
All the stars, all the time, all in one place. The Premier League on SuperSport.
Welcome back. This is Daybreak, and thank you for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. Nelson Koech is the MP representing Belgut constituency. Good morning.
Good morning.
Honorable Koech, thank you for finding time for the broadcast. Much appreciated. Your presence here is highly valued. And also with us is Gathoni wa Mushomba, the MP Githongori constituency. Thank you for your time as well, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you too.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you have had a lovely weekend.
Yes, sure.
Including the session yesterday in Thika.
Sure.
We'll talk about that. And Dan Manzo is the Senator, Makwene County shortly. He will be here with us as well on the broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, let's first begin with a look at the front pages of the publications. And the Standard newspaper has this front page, including your picture, Honorable wa Mushomba, of yesterday's church service in Thika, the county of Kiambu. But the major headline states Adani and how the government ignored better deals for the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. It says two feasibility studies on the airport's expansion, one by Adani and the other by the Kenya Airports Authority, returned two starkly different proposals and investment costs. And curiously, it says the government chose to go with Adani, which was 227 billion more costly than its own 211 projection, totally ignoring the expert opinion in the process. And this has been a matter that had concerned many Kenyans. Today, the Treasury CS, John Mbadi, will be appearing before the Senate following Senator Onyonka's a question on the statement he sought on the deal between the Indian conglomerate firm and the Kenyan government. Let's first begin there before we get down to politics. And Honorable Koech, first to you. It appears that there is a lot which is shrouded in secrecy, and this is leading to more calls for accountability, which the government is dead against.
You must applaud Kenyans for being the other frontier of checkmating the government, and that we all must agree. It's been on the headlines for a few days now. But I think listening to the minister a few days ago when he appeared before the Senate, he did indicate that there was no agreement yet that has been done with Adani. So as it is now, it is just a proposal. Like he said, I remember he saying it's just a PIP that was given by the Adanis. Nothing has been concretized. There is no agreement that has been made. It is just a proposal. And I'm sure, I mean, we also must be a country that, if we continue, Ayub, I'll tell you, with this trajectory of bastardizing every investment that comes to this country, we will soon lose investors. Because people really want to come and invest. We don't have the money from the Treasury to do at the airport more than 250 billion. I agree. Let us make sure that the deal that we get is a better deal. But we must also be cautious that every time that there is a proposal to do an investment, we do not have to lace it as a corrupt proposal. Sometimes there are very good proposals that are good for this country. I'll take you back to the 1970s. Do you know the airport that we are now, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, was rejected by many people at that time. But today, Kenyans are protecting the same airport that had been rejected before. I will tell you, and going down the line, in a few years, people will laud the proposal that is there today. It is just being condemned because probably, like you said in your initial statement, probably there's a lot of secrecy around it. I wish the government can be as open as possible. And I like the fact that Honorable Mbadi is going to appear before the Senate this week. I'm sure the National Assembly is going to do the same, so that we make sure that there are no gray areas in this agreement. But in terms of investment, in terms of people coming to put their money in our Kenyan airport, it is important. Tanzania has a modern airport. I actually saw one of the media sensation, some young man the other day who was in Tanzania airport. It is looking so modern. Rwanda is looking extremely modern. That is an avenue of inviting investors. You must have a good airport. We will lose traffic soon if we are not very careful. And look at this, Ayub. Kenyans complain. When we have a wrecking roof at the airport, Kenyans come out with the cameras and share it online that what kind of a shame is our airport. When you look for investors, again, there comes in. So I agree that we must check and be accountable on the investors that we're bringing into the country, but at the same time, let us give an opportunity for investors who want to put up a modern airport so that as a country we can move forward.
Okay,
Honorable question. The expressway, before I give you, before you go to the other question. This expressway that we're using now, do you know it was condemned? No one wanted the expressway. Look at it now. Everyone uses it. We celebrate it now. But it's because of bold decisions that were made by the President, Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay, and Honorable Kwech, the how is here very important, and the process to attain that. Undoubtedly, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, given Kenya's strategic importance, needs a facelift. But let me bring you to Article 201 of the Constitution, which exclusively demands for openness and accountability, including public participation on all public financial matters. For example, ALG had proposed 211 billion. Adani proposed 238 billion. That's 27 billion more. In terms of the modeling, ALG was of full airport terminals. Adani, single PPP for terminals. That is public-private partnership. On the runway, ALG proposed second runway by 2035. Adani said current runway is sufficient until 2054. In terms of the bidding, ALG was for competitive bidding. Adani prefers privately initiated proposal. In terms of the fees, ALG is of government regulation. Adani is self-regulation. These are the stark contrasts between what we have, Honorable Nelson Kwech, and for the accountability I have mentioned. Is it not therefore fair that yes, we want to facelift the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, but we do so in a manner that does not raise questions on how, for example, the SGR was conceived because in relation to that, and President Kenyatta failed to make public the SGR contract?
We have a very robust public in Kenya at the moment. We also have the legislature. It is our responsibility to make sure that the country gets the best of the deals. Whether it is ALG or Adani, I make sure that the country gets the best of the deals. Whether it is ALG or Adani, I totally agree that we must get the best deal. As far as I am concerned, Ayub, there has not been any agreement that has been signed with Adanis.
Yeah.
So it means at this moment it is still open, and I like the debate because we will get the best as a country. But we all seem to be agreeing that yes, truly, we do need a modern airport. So it is now the means of getting that modern airport where we are. So I totally agree with all those sentiments by different players, but it is important to allow an investor to come and put up an airport. On how is what we are discussing. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure as Parliament we will also take our responsibility.
Seems that how the reasoning around the talk of the details that are emerging, including the interview that this CS here, Davis Churchill, had, and also he appeared before the Senate, appears to be unearthing more concerns, given that Kenyans have lived this moment before when it came to the SGR contract and President Kenyatta's failure to make public the SGR contract despite making that promise on the 28th of December 2018.
Thank you so much, and I want to say good morning regards to our viewers, and I'm happy to share a platform with my colleague, Honorable Nelson. And I am quite concerned about the manner in which we do execute this kind of private partnership programs. First of all, I want to just correct my brother. He has said that the express highway is a road that is used by everybody. I want to correct him because not we pay for the express highway. Not every other vehicle will just ride on that road. You have to pay, and therefore I think I just wanted to clarify that. But it's a good highway. We enjoy. For those of us who can afford to use it, we do enjoy, and therefore I'm just expressing my concerns that for sure we need this kind of development projects. But the manner in which we absorb these projects and accept them into our system, assimilate them in our system, and implement them is very very alarming. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you read this paper, I'm quoting this paper.
Yeah.
The head of corporate planning and strategy at KAA, Kenya Airport Authority, Henry Ogoye, has already told stakeholders during a public participation forum early this month that the project should start by November this year. What does that tell you? What Honorable Nelson Koech is saying, that it is just a proposal from the Adani Group. It is not a proposal. These are documents that have already been finalized. If the project is starting in November, how far is November from today? Just about 3 weeks to come, isn't it? So we just can't assume that this thing is what we are getting from the government quarters. No. There's more to this. This PIP thing was done even before the privatization bill was brought in Parliament. Already Adani was in. Already discussions around how Adani is going to come and take over the airport was already done. How Adani is going to participate in our new reforms in the health sector. Yeah. I'm sure you know Adani is in. They are part of the stakeholders that are actually being used to run and implement our new health system, the SHE and the SHA. I think it is the SHA. Yeah. I'm not so sure, but I need to check. So these were already concluded deals. So we are just doing paperwork. And the reason why I'm saying that we are just doing paperwork is because of the kind of contradicting information we are getting from Churchill, the minister, from the staff at the KAA, from parliamentary reports that we are getting. Okay. It is already an indication that this was already done. But let me ask you a question. How did we land on Adani? Did we do the right procedural way of getting these private investors to come and partner with us? How did we just decide on Adani, not the others? Does it mean, I've heard you mention some figures. It is very clear that the figures that Adani has proposed are higher than any other that I had proposed. So how did we rest on Adani if we didn't have prior arrangement? And I want to take you back to this Constitution of Kenya, which is the basis of our argument. Article 201, which you have just cited, but you did not tell us which clause. It's good to be very clear, specific. Under the principles of public finance, there shall be openness and accountability, including public participation in financial matters. To me, that's a great concern. Before we agreed on Andani and settled on them, did we do the right public participation? Openness, like you have said, even in the past contracts that are proposed by government, including even the previous regime, we had the president, the former president, telling us and promising us many times that he's going to make public the contract that he has signed with the SGL team. Even today, I don't think you've seen that contract.
Which never happened.
Even this Adani thing, it's the same thing. I don't know why the government of Kenya feels shy of telling us what they are doing with such kind of investors. It is because there are so many hidden interests, so many hidden interests inside, that they think if they are brought to the public arena, people are going to ask questions, and those are the questions the government doesn't want to be asked. But I want to be very categorical. We need an upgraded airport. We need modern infrastructural structures in this country for our economy to grow. Otherwise, closing down and rejecting every other proposal may not take us very far. But openness by the principle